Welcome to a new type of video on my channel where I will be answering some of your questions which you guys asked over on my Instagram at Khadija Yasser. If you haven't checked me out on Instagram, please do so. The link is in the description as well. So I'm just going to answer your questions in the order that I receive them. There's no particular categorization of them or anything, and they're not many questions as well. There are only a few, so I'll be answering them today in this video. You guys can grab a cup of tea or coffee and just sit down and listen to me answering these questions. So yeah, let's begin. So question number 1 from MRYYA.A, was the MA1 paper easy? Okay, so first of all, for those of you who don't know, I'm doing the ACCA foundation level exams right now, and I gave the MA1 paper recently in January of this year. So she's basically asking, was it easy? Well, no, I wouldn't say it was easy. Preparing for it took me a lot of time, and while it wasn't hard, the content was new, so it wasn't easy to cover. The exam likewise wasn't immensely difficult, but it was quite tricky. So especially questions about cost classification and calculating apportionment, etc. So no, I wouldn't say the paper was easy. It was quite tricky, and I did get some questions wrong in the exam. Okay, moving on. Second question from Farhana.vii. Any books you're excited to start reading? Yes, many actually. I'm trying not to read too many at the same time because I'm currently reading 5 books. But yes, I really want to read the Taylor and Rose series, which is related to the Sinclair's Mysteries series, which you can just see in a quick glance over here. And they're all about detective stuff. They're basically 2 girls who solve mysteries. Then there's also the rest of the Lord of the Rings series, which I really want to continue. Then there's also this non-fiction book, How to Speak Effectively, which I want to start as well. So actually I could go on and on because my TBR list on Goodreads is currently 101 books. This reminds me, check out my profile on Goodreads. The link is in the description, and over there you can see what books I want to read, what books I am currently reading, and which books I've already read. So it's useful to follow me over there because you guys can get ideas on what you would like to read as well, and so on. Okay, so the next question from the same person, Farhana.vii, favorite and least favorite book genres. Good question, actually. I think action and adventure, detective fiction, and fantasy are in my top 3, definitely. My least favorite would easily be horror books, sci-fi novels, and yeah, I think those would be my least favorite. Recently, I've also taken a liking to autobiographies, by the way, and classics. But I wouldn't say they're my favorite genres, no. So I think I'll go for detective fiction because I find that the most engaging. But still, I do love to read books from all sorts of genres, and it's really hard to pinpoint this. But yeah, I think detective fiction and action and adventure maybe as well. Another question from Farhana, what are some key tips for self-discipline? Wow, that's a big question. Self-discipline is something I feel that's very hard to attain, and it's easy to lose quickly. So the key way to build self-discipline really and truly is to be honest with yourself, I think. You have to honestly, reflect about what you're doing and think to yourself, am I going to regret doing this? Am I wasting time I could potentially use elsewhere? I won't go into things like scheduling and making goals because I think most of us have heard of that before too many times. I think it's important to know your weaknesses, actually, and nip them in the bud. So, for example, if you know you spend too much time on social media or Netflix, etc., distance yourself from it. And if you have a habit of procrastinating, do what I said earlier. Be honest with yourself and realize that ultimately, you're going to regret this in the future. So that would be my way of trying to self-discipline yourself. Although this is something that is very hard to do, and it takes a lot of time as well and a lot of dedication. So it's not something you can just gain overnight. If you put a lot of effort into it, you can become self-disciplined. And another interesting way I heard about is to involve friends or family members to support and remind you. Like, you can tell them to remind you to do the things that you have to do, so they'll encourage you, and then in turn you can encourage them as well. So that's a useful thing and an interesting way of, self-disciplining yourself. Self-disciplining. Okay, so 5th question from Ibrahim Saud. Who do you look up the most to? What qualities do you like of his or her? Okay, so I look up the most to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the best role model to follow, as all of you know, and his character and qualities were the best that can be found in any human being. So most particularly his great moral conduct, ikhlaq, as everyone knows, and his kindness towards everyone, and a great many other characteristics which can't even be listed. So he would be the person I look up the most to in terms of trying to emulate and, follow and be like. So yeah. Okay, so Mariam Ahmed is asking, do you plan on publishing your novels? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I wrote a short novel of 160 pages long back when I was 10 years old or 9 years old. I've also been writing some other books which I haven't finished yet. I do plan on publishing my complete novel, inshallah, someday, but only online most probably, and that too self-publishing. At the moment, I don't have a clear plan. Next question from Alison Ant. What's your biggest fear? Oh, that's hard because I can't really pinpoint one, actually. I am afraid of heights, terribly afraid of spiders and actually all insects, most animals, and fire and drowning. Yeah, and on a larger scale, I would say maybe losing someone close, like a loved one. That would be something really terrible. Okay, so NoorIjaz.x_x is asking, what is the most benefit you gain from reading besides the fun of it all, as I want to develop it as a hobby? Oh, that's a nice question. Of course, I love reading because it brings me joy and happiness, and it's definitely my favorite hobby. Apart from that, I think the main way I benefit is that it really increases my vocabulary. So one day I learned the meaning of the word winsome just because I came across it in a book. Reading also helps you imagine better, if you know what I mean. So books like Anne of Green Gables and Heidi, which are my favorites, by the way, they opened up my mind to a different type of imagination because, every author describes places and things in different ways, obviously. So, you get to imagine things in different ways every time you read a book, and you learn how to imagine more. And yeah, reading also helps you to write better, by the way. And that's particularly true for me. The more I read, the more I feel that my writing improves as well. So yeah, I would feel these are the main benefits. Oh, also about the fact that you want to make it a hobby. So a small tip that can help you make it into a hobby is to just pick up a book or borrow a book or buy a book on a topic that interests you. So if you're interested in, I don't know, this is just an example. If you're interested in nature or something, you can pick up a book that's related to that, fiction or non-fiction. If you're interested in famous people, you can pick up an autobiography of them, biography of them, etc. And this will help increase your love for reading in general, hopefully. Okay, moving on to the next question. Karen is asking, what do you like to do when you're upset? Okay. I don't know what I would do. It depends actually on what is making me upset. So I'll usually just think of very angry thoughts or sad thoughts, whatever. And then I'll usually just pick up a book to read to cheer myself up. Usually, yeah, I think that's what I would do. I would pick up a book. Okay, next, Mary from Germany is asking, is your YouTube channel always going to be educational? Yeah, I think it will. That's what my channel is all about, isn't it? Knowing things better, knowing it, as you can see from the channel name. And most of my viewers actually prefer all the educational videos, like, how to get an A star in IGCSEs, help with ACCA exams, accounting, etc. Whenever I usually take polls also on my YouTube channel, so most of the people always vote for educational videos. So I've sort of understood that that's what people want from my channel, so I think that's what I'll be doing in the future as well. However, if you do think that, there's some other type of video I can pursue, like vlogs and stuff, you can let me know, like, how I was doing the expo vlogs as well. But that's just a short-term thing. The expo as well has an educational side to it because it's a world event that happens every 5 years, so that's why there was a bit of educational thing in it. So yeah, I can't promise I'll make different types of videos. I think my channel is mostly going to be about education and helping others. Moving on, monodia.ia is asking, how did your exams go? Thank you for asking. So as I mentioned previously, I gave one recently, the MA1 foundation exam of ACCA, and I got 88%, alhamdulillah, thank God. So I'm now studying for the next one, which is FA2, but I did well in the MA1, thank God. Abdullah said -1, how do you make friends with online schooling? I haven't always done online school, so I went to school normally for 12 years, thankfully, and only the last one was spent online due to COVID-19 and all of that. And I made all of my wonderful friends over there, so I've only just started full online self-study for my ACCA foundation, Chartered Accountancy online, and I haven't made any new friends, so mostly because it's a self-study course, so there are no live sessions. But yeah, that's that. I really can't advise you on this, so sorry. But yeah, I think that's the end of all the questions. Thank you for all of them, and I'm really glad that you guys reached out and asked some things, and hopefully next time I will do another one. You guys will ask more questions. So yeah, anyway, thank you for bearing with me all this time, and see you in the next video.